Thanks for tuning into Quillbilly Garage. For this episode, we're going to do a walk around of this Hollywood used 1971 International 1510 truck. This truck captures my interest for two reasons. One, I've been a fan of international trucks for, probably 25, 26 years. Over those years, I've had somewhere between probably 20 and 40 international harvesters. I had pickups and scouts and travel-alls. At this point, this is the only international that I have left so far. The second reason for my interest in this truck is its connection to Hollywood productions. I have an attraction to vehicles and geographical locations involved with Hollywood productions of movies and television shows. If you look through my episode list, you'll see that there are some videos where I visited some filming locations and did a little walk around or a drive through, and I'll probably do some more of those in the future as I get time to do so. So I'm going to start, we'll get to the Hollywood part later. Right now, let's talk about international trucks. This is a 1971 1510 model. 1510 was International's heaviest duty of the light line. So in simple terms, it was the heavy dutiest truck that still had a basic pickup cab. For comparison, the next level up is the 1600, which would be a Lodestar truck, an International Lodestar, which, as you can see here, doesn't look anything like a pickup. Getting back to the 1510, let's talk a little bit about International's light line series. When I say light line, again, I'm talking about the pickups and travel-alls. We're not talking about scouts at the moment. So again, this is a 1510. The higher the number, the heavier duty the truck. The lightest truck they made in 1971 was a 1010, which was a half ton. There was also an 1110, which is also a half ton. I guess one's a heavier duty half ton than the other. Then you jump up to the 1210, which is a 3/4 ton. A 1310 is a 1 ton. I've never heard of a 1410. And then you go to the 1510. And so I don't know if that would be considered a ton and a half, but something like that though. This truck hasn't been run since long before I got it. The engine does still turn over, and one of these days we'll hopefully get it running and do a video of that. This engine it's either a 304 or a 345. I can't remember which. I think it's a 345. The nice thing about Internationals, I'm not going to be able to point to it, but on the passenger side of the engine, under the exhaust manifold, there's a little boss on the side of cast into the side of the block, and the engine size is stamped into that boss. I wish all makes did that. So again, this is probably a 345. It's got power brakes. A Holley 2-barrel carburetor. No power steering. The hood is pretty rough. If I do end up doing anything with this truck at some point, I do have a good hood for it. One point of interest, when you got to the 1 ton, and so the 1310 and the 1510, the front fenders, they're the same shape as a 3/4 ton or half ton fender, except they have a larger wheel opening to allow for the larger tires used on these trucks. So harder to find a replacement if you need it. If it was a 3/4 ton or lower, you could use any 1/2 ton or 3/4 ton fender or travel all fender. This truck is equipped with a 4-speed standard transmission. Pretty basic interior. Door panels are just metal, they're not upholstered. No other real fancy bells and whistles in here. It does look like it had a radio at one point. No air conditioning. That was an option, but this does not have air conditioning. The seat's been reupholstered at some point. The odometer reads 28,493 miles. I'll get back to that later. I think there's a chance that that is original mileage. I know that might sound far-fetched, and as rough a shape this is in, and the fact that the seat's been reupholstered. And the pedal pads are worn out or missing. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. As we get back to the exterior of the truck, let's talk about the Hollywood roots of this truck. For interest, the truck body is made by Metro Truck Body in Gardena, California. So this truck, as far as I know, wasn't ever screen used as a prop, unless it was incidental. Notice how tall that box is. I mean, I don't have a tape measure on me, but I think it's about 8 feet tall. This was originally used as a wardrobe truck. I got this truck from a friend of mine whose father, and he did it too. His father worked on sets in Hollywood. This truck, again, was originally used for wardrobes. We'll look in the back a minute and talk more about that. And then eventually it became, I think, the tool truck for the building sets, things of that sort. Now, sometimes when I'm watching older movies, my eye is caught by a blue box truck in the background, and I look and see, boy, I wonder if that was this truck. So far, none of them have ever been that. It was not an International that I've seen, but again, unlikely this was ever on screen, but used to support film production. I asked my friend if he could remember what shows this might have been used for as a wardrobe truck. The only one he could remember, well, the only one I remember that he could remember was Little House on the Prairie. Just as you'd expect with any available covered space, it ends up getting filled with stuff. You need to get something out of the weather, throw it in the back of a truck, right? So if you look at those bars that are standing up in the back of the truck there, at the ends they have a piece of square tubing welded to them. And if you look in the truck along the sides, there's little saddles where those bars would rest. Those would be like the clothes rods for hanging up all of the wardrobes. Oh, so back to the mileage, 28,000. I don't know, maybe it's 128,000, maybe it's 228,000. I just think of a truck that's been used most of its life on set in Hollywood. Would the pedal pads get worn out from hopping in and out of it and moving it around? Yes. Would the seat get worn out from stop and go and hopping in and out of it? Yes. Would you rack up 128,000 miles? I don't know. Maybe. Regardless, if it is 28,000 original miles, which At this point, I am thinking that it's unlikely. Well, then it sure isn't in very good shape for the low miles. This concludes the walk around of this Hollywood used 1971 International Harvester 1510 truck. We may get back to it someday doing a video trying to get the engine started. Thanks again for watching my channel. I really appreciate it.